Hey everybody, Jane here, and I am doing a review on Murder on Trinity Place. If you've been following my channel, you know that Victoria Thompson is one of my favorite historic mystery authors, and you probably also know that I've read every book in the series up to this one. This is her newest release. I'm so happy to have read it, and I really loved it. I was honestly struggling a little bit with the series. We had a couple books that just hadn't quite hit the mark for me, and I was wondering if I was falling out of love with the series, if it was time for me to back out. Now, I'd kind of said, I think before, that if this book wasn't great, it was going to be the last one that I read in the series, and I kind of wanted certain things to happen to make me want to continue the story. Those things didn't happen, but this was amazing and I'm going to be continuing. It reminded me of all the things I love about Victoria Thompson and her Gaslight Mystery series. So this series is a very character-driven series. It involves Frank, who starts the series as a police detective, and they're living in New York in the 1900s, early 1900s. And Sarah, who is a widowed midwife. This is like book 23. It's 20 something. So a lot of the things I could tell you character-wise would be spoilers. So I'm going to try to avoid that and just kind of focus on the mystery of this. But needless to say, so much character stuff has happened to this point, and I love the characters in the story. That has really been a driving force for me. And I think some of the things with their character arcs closing is one of the reasons that I was kind of falling out of love with the series. But none of that was an issue in this book. It was amazing. So in this book, there is a neighbor whose son has gotten married. A neighbor of Sarah's whose son has gotten married. And she and Frank are visiting and having dinner with this neighbor and meet the family of the young bride. That evening, the father of the bride, who, I mean, are married. It's not like we're waiting on the wedding, but the father of the newlywed bride is murdered. And they ask Frank to conduct an investigation to find out who caused the murder. Now, this person who was murdered, the most important thing about him, or one of the cool things about him, is that he is a milkman. Like, he owns, he's one of the people that delivers milk, owns the milk delivery service. So that plays a huge role in the story, and I'll tell you, that is one of the things that I love about Victoria Thompson's mysteries, is they often take facts about the time period and things that were happening in the time period and incorporate it. And I loved the incorporation of the milk production and milk delivery at the time. We learned pretty early on in the story that some of the cows in the milk industry at this time are being given a thing called swill milk, which is making people who drink it potentially sick. And Sarah, who is a midwife and knows all the medical stuff, tells us a little bit about the fact that the child death rate is extremely high because partly of the swill milk and this milk that is not nutritious, it's making kids sick, and it's lowering their immune system so that other diseases can come in. And it's a huge deal. I mean, this industry is big. And so there's a lot about the milk industry in this. And I loved that she did that because I love learning about the time period, learning about cool things that were happening in the time period, and the way she incorporates that into her stories. Oh, by the way, this was a 4 out of 5 for me. It was good. It was not necessarily her absolute best, but man, I got all the lovey vibes that I've always had for this series and was so happy with it. The mystery itself was really good. Because I've read 23 of these, I'm usually pretty good at guessing who did it and what twists and turns were happening. I did not have that problem in this book. It took me a while to figure out who done it. I thought I knew, and then I thought I knew, and then I thought I knew, and I didn't know. So I was really pleased with the way the mystery turned out. And I will say I don't necessarily read these for the mysteries, because in any mystery series, sometimes the mystery, they can be touch and go for me. But I did love that this was one of her better mysteries, and I didn't know who'd done it. Another thing that I loved about this, that the last few books I didn't love so much. There are two minor characters, or I guess secondary characters. I wouldn't call them minor. They're secondary characters. Gino, who works with Frank, and Mauve, who works for Sarah. And in the last few books, those characters have played very big roles. And I like them okay as secondary characters, but I felt like they were trying to move into a main character role, and I don't like them as main characters. I'm not, if she did a spin-off series with them, having their own story along the way, that would be fine. I don't know that I would read it, but I don't want it in this story. Like, it's okay for them to be helpers. They're basically the Watsons to the Sherlocks, and that's fine. But I don't want them to take over. And I felt in the last couple of stories they played a much bigger role, and I didn't like that. And I love that in this book they returned more to a secondary character role. They were there, they helped, they were useful. We got to see them, that was great. We got some humor from their situation, but they didn't take over the story as they have in some of the last books. And I was so thankful for that. And that was one of the big things about my enjoyment with this story. Another thing that we are back to that I was very happy about is, in the past few books, sometimes, and from reading reviews on this series as a whole, apparently this is an ongoing thing that I haven't noticed as much as others have, but in the last couple books, it did stand out to me, is there tends to be a lot of rehashing of information. So the characters find out a piece of information and then get together and tell each other the information, and then talk about the information. And generally, this hasn't been something in the series that has bothered me, but the past, few books, there were a few books in few of the recent books, I want to say 19 and up, where that has been more of something that stood out to me, that I know the facts. We don't need to keep sitting here and discussing it, please. Just don't take me there. I don't want to, we learned it, maybe you want to have a conversation about it that brings in new information, but I just don't want to sit and talk about the clues we already have. So I wasn't loving that, but this was back to a good balance for me. There was enough of the, hey, we know this, but there wasn't excessive discussion about it. It was very much like, hey, this is a thing, it's great, continue on. So I did want to mention that this is very much, if you have read the series and are wondering, oh, should I continue with this one? If you were kind of feeling like I was, where you were in a bit of a rut with it, yes, this is classic Victoria Thompson. This is everything I love in my Victoria Thompson. This series is amazing. For anybody who has not read any of the books in the series, let me tell you, this is an amazing series. It is probably my favorite. Yeah, it's my favorite. It is absolutely my favorite historical mystery series. And it's probably my favorite mystery series as a whole. It is amazing. I love it. And this is one series that if somebody asked me what mystery series they should read, this one. It is the Gaslight Mystery. I don't know if you can see that from here. The Gaslight Mystery. This series is amazing. If you love mysteries, yes, yes, yes. I cannot tell you yes enough. Oh, I love this series. Now, like I said, the last few books haven't been hits for me, but I have, up until the last few where I was struggling a little, this series has been, I just loved it. Then we had a few that I didn't feel were strong, I really struggled with. If she can keep giving me this, I will read every book she writes in the series ever. I need more of this, and I can't wait for the next one to come out. I'm very much reinvigorated, rejuvenated, and excited about the series again, and I am so glad, so glad that I am. All right, guys, this is Jane. My social media is below if you would like to connect with me. If you have other historical mystery series you'd like to recommend to me, please do that below. That is one thing that right now I'm just like so hungry for. I love historical mysteries, particularly very character-driven ones, and particularly ones that really bring in the setting of the history to the story. I really love that. If you had comments about the Gaslight Mystery Series or that book in particular, please leave them below. If you'd like more content and you have not already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. And if you'd like to know when a new video is posted, the bell too, please. I'll see you next time. Bye.